Hello YouTubers, Troz here, and we're back with another Infinifactory solution review video here. Going back over comparing some of the solutions I did so far in my YouTube playthrough with the solutions I did in my initial playthrough of the game. So last time we went through Proving Grounds and Skydock 19. So this time we're going to start off with Resource Site 526.81 because... Oh, what is this? Oh, this is a little experiment. Ooh. I was playing with making a digital clock. Let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and well, that's about as far as it gets. I think here comes 8 and 9. I never actually finished this up. Eight. Yeah, here it is, finally timing. Basically, the timing's way too long. And there's 9. And to make it shorter, well, this platform wouldn't have to be would have to be not here or something. Maybe I could fit it in here. But basically, we just have something that's always powered, and these spokes stick out in order to turn on and off the appropriate pushers here. You see as this comes down. There we go. Basically, it has a sensor that pulls or pushes out that conveyor to grab the currently hooked up one and move it away. There it goes. I was going to hook up a second one here so we'd have 2 digits and then have the one trigger after the other one hit 9. But, yeah. Anyway, back to the barracks. Here are my previous YouTube playthrough scores compared against my original game scores that I'm showing off the solutions that I came up with here. Also at the bottom you can see the Reddit best scores for cycles, footprints, and blocks. Again, no GRA means no giant rotator arms, and while there aren't any here, I have put asterisks on a few of my original game scores if I have a other interesting solution that I don't particularly have listed here. So let's go look at some of those solutions now. Okay, for optical sensor array type 2 here, in my YouTube playthrough I had a 76 cycle, 45 footprint, 29 block version. My original playthrough, well, this was my best version at 83 cycles, 33 footprints, and 32 blocks. Although, probably when I played this, block counting wasn't a thing. Weld them together, spin them into place. It's not too bad. Let's just briefly look at my other 2 solutions here. Oh, I think this is probably my first solution. I actually rotate all of them and then rotate the opposite direction just so it's basically even number of rotations on both of the paths, so it's even number of time. But you can see this takes up extra space. And what was this solution? That seems, okay. Does this not work at +2? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Not sure what was up, why that didn't. Actually does work at +3. Okay, now this is probably very near what I had in my YouTube playthrough. Anyhow. It's actually a smaller footprint. Looks like one extra block. On to landing alignment lights. In my YouTube playthrough, I had a 91 cycle, 229 footprint, 121 block solution. Basically because I was trying to replicate this solution from memory. This solution, it's relatively close to the best known solution. The best known solution is 67 cycles, so I'm 74, less than 10 cycles above. Other than that, you know, it's basically pretty close. But before we show that, let's look at some of these other solutions. This is it's my lowest number of blocks. Otherwise, I would say it's not that remarkable. Apparently, though, the minimum blocks is very small for this. The best known, I think, is 9. This apparently I went for low footprint here. So you can see we basically move the whole thing out over here, rotate, and build it just about in the output area. Actually overhanging the output by 2 of the blocks. So you can see how that works. Let's just... Obviously, it's not that quick, but we don't actually even need to see the end. You got the numbers all here. Let's see, this solution... this is probably one of my first optimization attempts. We split them into 2 parts, 2 paths, spin the one around, weld them up, and then use rotators to quickly move it to the output. But that's not what you're here to see. Here is the solution that I was trying to replicate. I actually, at one point, had a 3 at a time build version, but it basically was hard to get it to line up and get inputted with the others. But this is basically what I was trying to build in my YouTube playthrough. We're just going to play this at regular speed because it goes real quick. Get a whole bunch out, they drop, so half of them rotate and half don't. The ones, and then they all get welded and nicely move in. So the ones that drop early, basically right here, all get spun around, and you can see big footprint, but 74 cycles is very hard to beat. There's, like I said, the The Reddit best I see is 67, so not too far off. Optical sensor array type 4. This is the plus-shaped sensor thingy. My YouTube, I got 104 cycles, 174 footprint, 111 block, which is actually just slightly better in cycles than this version, but it's worse in footprint and just slightly better in blocks. Let's see, this was probably my initial... No, this probably was not my initial version. This is one of my first optimization attempts, I believe. So we have these come out as quickly as possible, but... maybe this was my first version. Push one to the left and right, and weld them in there. So we basically get a stick of 3 that gets all welded together, and then we weld on the 2 blocks on the side, and then stamp. But this one, I did work quite a while to optimize it. I wasn't completely happy with how this came out, and in reality, yeah, the best is 76, so about 3/4 of this. But I actually build 3 of these at a time, but the way they come out, this third one actually gets delayed by a whole cycle. You'll see what I mean. So we have a whole bunch coming out here. So these 2 get through before the next group drop, and then we get like a group of 3, but again that one gets basically delayed by a whole cycle. But I like how this works. It, where the rotator is positioned, it spins right on the center, so you don't need any shifting it left or right. And that's that. It actually seems pretty fast, but obviously you can see there's a little bit here. I'm obviously in the above 100 group. There is people who got below 100, and as I said, yes, 76 seems to be the quickest. So, along with that, footprint I didn't do well on compared to the best, and neither blocks. We're going to go to small excavator next. And this one, in my YouTube playthrough, I did 181 cycles, 130 footprint, 66 blocks. My playthrough, well, my best is 161 cycles, but of course that has a bigger footprint with 152 and a bigger block score of 92. We're gonna look at this solution first just to see. Now this, if you don't know, this puzzle was different. Originally, when the game first came out, there was an extra, whatever you want to call it, cargo container here that contained a block. This line here was 5 long with a hinge-looking block in the middle, so like the whole claw would hinge and grab stuff, and that came out of this cargo container. It was changed at some point, one of the revisions, to remove that and to make it smaller. I think part of the problem was a lot of people basically had to back those up and just collect a bunch, because you would get like 4 before everything was ready to for it to be welded together. And my initial solution, yeah, similar to this, things would drop down, I'd move the middle piece in. But you can see here, I'm making 2 3-long pieces and a 4-long piece, and shoving those through to get shaped, then one gets rotated, the other just drops, and then we get output when the sensor sees that everything's together. And you can see the one that drops actually holds up the horizontal bar just for a cycle or so. So yeah, this is the slower version. Let's go back to the barracks and see the faster version. This one, I believe we make half a piece at a time, or let's actually see what I'm doing here. No, alright, still doing, but I have it so that, yeah, we don't have to shove the piece back. And these get dropped at the same time. Again, the centerpiece is being held up by one cycle, but it's not like this time where we're waiting on the one piece. Both angle pieces are just dropping in. So overall, slightly better design, although we do have to shift everything over one at the end. And yeah, this bar goes on a nice ride back and forth, so it's timed, but that's that. Let's go on to Cargo Uplifter. This one I only have one solution for. This was another puzzle that was changed, I think in the same update. Really, the thing that gets me is I had just optimized it the night before the update came out, and I didn't get a recording of it because it was getting late and I was going to say, okay, I'll look at it tomorrow, but that's when the update came out, so I had a really good solution. This is pretty close to the solution that I had, but this blows away in terms of cycles, at least. My playthrough on YouTube. My YouTube playthrough had a 155 cycle, 99 footprint, 70 block, and I also had a version that had a 98 footprint and 66 blocks, but I'm assuming it was slower. This is, obviously it's 117, 120 footprint, 103 block. And it's not too far off. Apparently, the best cycle score is 90, or 93 if you don't use giant rotator arms. And my footprint, though, isn't great. Neither is apparently you can do this in 21 blocks. But let's take a look. I'm not really sure in the changed version what was changed. I don't know if this was higher or it had one more block deeper, or if they just, I believe they did move some of these things around. But here's my version. It's actually a bit complicated, and I have a big delay here because basically I believe let's see how we do this. It's been a while since. Okay, unlike my YouTube playthrough where I basically built two halves and then stuck it together, this I build the whole thing. We get the scoops, we weld them to 2 blocks, weld the lifter engines to the other 2 blocks, and then drop the 2 halves on top of each other and output. These do back up, but not enough to cause a problem. You can see they're backing up, mostly because, let's just hit play again. These come out without any delay, where because we're using a pusher, this blocks up for 2 cycles per cargo lifter. So eventually these will back up and cause a problem, but not within the 10. See, they're now starting to hit each other. But yeah. so that is that in 2 more outputs. Alright, so let's move on to Production Zone 2. Here are my original game scores for Production Zone 2 compared to my YouTube scores. You can see in my YouTube playthrough I did rather well in these cycles, only losing out on drone maintenance. Although I did have a nice block score for terminal display reclamation in my original playthrough, that's equivalent to the best infinite solution you can get. Okay, terminal display reclamation. My best solution here in terms of cycles is this 36 cycle solution, which is the exact number of cycles I also got on my YouTube playthrough. This does it with one less footprint, but one additional block. Let's just look at that. Apparently I have some, or at least one, eviscerator here coming in off of the top. This, we're just getting one block, but they're coming out rather fast. So it's only using half the available blocks that we could be using. This is probably my first solution. It is using both blocks, but you can see the input rate is limited because of that. And actually, I don't know why that said 117, because that was 41. Still saying... Oh, did I play the wrong one? I played the wrong one. No, I just played one that I didn't think I was playing. Looking at the wrong one. 117, this only uses 5 blocks. Let's see here. I am seeing that 4 blocks is actually possible according to the Reddit thread, but 5 if you want an infinite solution, which is what I have here. Apparently, if you don't want an infinite solution, you can do something that will save you a block. Looks like we wipe out all the bottom stuff here, and then yeah, we only get 1 block, but hey, we only used 5 blocks, so there, 2 eviscerators, a lifter, and another eviscerator. The platform blocks don't count for block score. And here comes the last one. There we go. And yeah, this is the one I showed before, and let's just look at this one. Oh. Alright, I did show them all. Okay. A little confused there for a second, but shuttle maintenance. I think this one may have also changed at one point. I'm not sure why I only have one solution. Let's run this. See, we got 2. We're basically letting these come in as fast as they want. We're pushing them over so they stop here. And once we have 2 engines ready, we let them continue, weld everything on. And these gates are there basically to prevent the engines from exiting too fast. It looks like if we had delayed these by one cycle, we could probably get rid of those. But yeah, this is the one solution I have. Like I said, I don't recall if this one changed, causing me to lose my other solutions. As a comparison, this is 151, 167, 62. My YouTube playthrough, I got 134 cycles, 168 footprints, 78 blocks. But I had a different solution that I don't know the cycle score, but the footprint was 148, and I also had it was probably a 47 block version. So yeah, comparatively this one isn't as good. Next we have Oversight Terminal Model 6. You see I have two solutions here. One is probably copied from the other. In my YouTube playthrough, I had a 147 cycle, 61 footprint, 47 block version. So, yeah, these are not as good. Yeah, so here we're basically building towers of displays and I don't know what you want to call the bottom, but bases, and having two keyboards come in and then letting everything through. The problem with this is the way we're getting these things in order. If we speed this up anymore, they won't be in the right order. So this, I believe, is limited to, well, +0. Let's go back to barracks. Is this the same one? Oh, actually, I think I modified this one after the fact and just went for a lower block score, because when I first did this, block score wasn't a thing, so I just changed a few of the blocks here to get a little lower block score, and that... cancel. Also, somehow, I saved some footprint and 2 cycles. For comparison, let's see, 91 cycles looks to be the Reddit best, 37 footprint and 8 blocks. Drone maintenance. In my YouTube playthrough, I had a 123 cycle, 183 footprint, 60 block score. Well, I have better cycles here, not necessarily smaller solutions, although this is only 40 blocks. So let's take a look at this. Yes, this is kind of fun because I turn these sideways and shave off everything, and then we drop and weld and drop and weld. These are actually individual pieces here, and they actually get welded together and then welded on as the tank goes by. So that's this solution. It's just about done. Continue to the barracks. This solution I actually worked on rather recently, maybe a few weeks ago. It was just a straight optimization. Rotate. It looks very much the same. This is moved closer. This is rotated a little sooner so we can get these much closer together. We have basically a higher input rate here. And now these are welded together up here, and they're dropped at just the right time, so they get welded in place with nothing to hold them. And yeah, I'm just gonna play it once more, so you notice something here that you might not have. I might have skipped over it, but the way this pushes, or the way it lets one through, it winds up pushing another one out, and so it's an eviscerator to prevent them from causing problems. And yeah, that is drone maintenance. And finally, we have furnished studio apartment, which apparently I only did once. This is a 100 cycle, 286 footprint, 31 block solution. My YouTube playthrough was 120 cycles, 289 footprint, and 28 blocks. So 20 cycles slower, 3 footprint bigger, but 3 blocks smaller. I also had, that was my initial YouTube version. I then apparently optimized it to 100 cycles, so the same as this, but it increased the footprint by 1. So let's check this out. It's probably pretty similar because I would have remembered this one. This is definitely, so you can see how this is going. We shove the TV into the wall, pull it forward, and then it gets pushed just as the floor moves, so it runs into these welders. And meanwhile, the bed and sink, the sink actually gets attached in the first cycle, while the bed gets attached in the second cycle. And yeah, that is how I solved this one. Don't have yeah, any additional solutions. And I think that's going to wrap up this episode. Next time we'll go on to the last 2 sections of the Overlord campaign, and these have a lot more interesting puzzles, I think. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with more Infinifactory. I'll see you then.